Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. So today we have some pretty big news for the future of Star Wars films. I know we've been here before, but yet another movie with a new director has been announced. Nothing to get too excited about though, because Lucasfilm have once again announced a movie and a director with no indication of a release date, plot, or even story idea. They've once again hired a director to basically just see how it goes. There's a very good chance this is another Patty Jenkins scenario, where the directors and writers work on a script, only for it to be cancelled or indefinitely delayed due to creative differences. We've seen it time and time again. Now I've seen a consensus amongst fans that Lucasfilm needs to stop attaching names to vague upcoming projects that have no plan or base yet. Well, that's the case once again, guys. Deadline have revealed that a secret Star Wars film from Damon Lindelof now has a director attached, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. Let's dive into this. Following months of speculation, Deadline is now hearing from several sources close to the project that not only is Damon Lindelof developing a new Star Wars film for Lucasfilm, but that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy has been set as director. Lindelof is co-writing the project, though it is unknown at this time who his writing partner is. Insiders say that the script is still being written, which means production is far out. Sources said it was important to Lucasfilm and Lindelof that a director be brought on early, so that person's own vision for where they see the story heading gets included in the script. Lucasfilm and representatives for Obaid-Chinoy could not be reached for comment. As for what the film is actually focused on, that will remain under wraps, as the project remains one of the more guarded projects of all of Hollywood. So basically right now, it's a big secret. As for when we will see this film, it seems very far off, maybe even further off than Kevin Feige's movie, which is set for release in 2027, but the order of release could be changed. And right now, guys, it's just a question of which movie goes into production first. But Deadline do say that this Star Wars feature seems to have the most momentum of all of the ones currently in development, even more so than Taika's film. 2019's The Rise of Skywalker was the last Star Wars film to bow in theatres, with the studio focusing on its TV projects for Disney+. That said, they do want to return to the big screen, and they do have several films in the pipeline, even some that we don't know about. Deadline say that according to their sources, Lucasfilm are very clear that they want to make sure the next series of films has a story they're happy with, and they don't want to rush anything. As for Obaid-Chinoy herself, the highly sought-after director continues to build on her strong relationship to Disney after successfully directing several episodes of Ms. Marvel. Best known for directing her Oscar-winning documentary shorts, Saving Face and A Girl in the River, the Oscar and Emmy-winning director also recently committed to directing Paramount's adaptation of Brilliance, which is being developed as a starring vehicle for Will Smith, and now it seems like Star Wars is in her future as well. Let's just wait and see what happens with this project. They say they want good storytelling that is well planned, but they're way more focused on big-name writers and directors than the movies themselves. It also seems like the next group of Star Wars movies, that is Taika Waititi's film, Kevin Feige's film, and now this one, are all going to be standalones rather than a trilogy, which might be the best thing for Star Wars on the cinematic side of things. But share your thoughts of this in the comments down below, guys. What should they include, what should they be about, and what should they avoid? And so now, my dear Maglorians, we have some huge reveals for Star Wars Eclipse, the upcoming Star Wars game by Quantic Dream that's not expected for another few years at least. The game that is set during the end of the High Republic is expected to have connections to Lucasfilm's wider High Republic initiative, the books, the comics, and so on, as well as speculated ties to the Acolyte TV show. Now, we haven't heard too much about the game since last year, but in a new article, Video Games Chronicle have outlined some new details that have emerged from one of their sources. Let's dive into it. Story details, including some of the main characters, have also been described in a new report from Sacred Symbols. The game, which was announced during the Game Awards last year, is reportedly still in very early production. Sacred Symbols host Colin Moriarty said, "This game, as far as I can tell, is not even really in production yet." The podcast then goes on to describe documents provided to them, which appeared to give an overview of one of the game's main characters, as well as their motivations. The podcast also notes that the game is being co-written by David Cage and Adam Williams, who have both previously helmed other Quantic Dream titles. So they say the lead of the project is called Sarah, and she's described as an athletic 30-something, a member of a human-like race. This race is at the lead of some sort of empire called the Zoran, a race not seen in Star Wars before. The podcast says, quote, "It prides itself on political and military aggression, and similar to what you find elsewhere in Star Wars, there's little differentiation between males and females when it comes to roles and responsibilities. But there's an interesting wrinkle. When Zoran get married, their nuptials carry interesting military implications implications as they become one governing unit that works together. They say, quote, "This is a problem because Sarah, a fanatical true believer in the violence and criminality regularly demonstrated by her empire, is married to a character named Zendo, who has a far more softer touch, and part of the game seems to revolve around these two characters and their relationship. This so-called empire that's in the game refers to the Zoran faction, not the Galactic Empire seen in the Skywalker era. As we know, Star Wars Eclipse takes place between 200 and 150 years before the events of The Phantom Menace, but it's unclear if the plot is going to tie into Episode 1, but they do say that changes are undoubtedly going to occur in production. Video Games Chronicle finished by saying, in December it was confirmed that Eclipse is set in the High Republic, but near the end of the era. In Quantic Dream's own words, they say, Star Wars Eclipse is the first video game to be set in an uncharted region of the Outer Rim, in an era known as the Golden Age of the Jedi. The game will build upon Quantic Dream's expertise in delivering deeply branching narratives that go beyond their already established acclaim. Players' choices will be at the heart of the experience, as every decision can have a dramatic impact on the course of the story. We have no gameplay footage at this stage, but a trailer was released last year, a cinematic one. But as I say guys, the game is not expected for a few years, probably somewhere between 2024 and 2026. Let's wait and see. And so finally, my dear friends, with Andor Episode 8 just around the corner, let's talk about an upcoming likely betrayal. I saw this a few days ago, let's talk about it. In a new promo for Disney Plus's Andor, Lucasfilm has potentially revealed a big surprise character twist in an upcoming episode. The person in question is Jung, played by Robert Emms, who first appeared as an ISB supervisor in Episode 4, Aldhani. In the teaser, he can be seen standing in dim lighting, sporting atypical attire. This look is especially notable for a lieutenant like himself, as he's deeply involved in the Empire. Some might say, what if he's just wearing civilian clothes? Now while this is true, it's the voiceover that precedes the brief shot that seems to really seal the deal. Mon Mothma is heard saying, "There's a new spy every day," right before it cuts to Jung. And some fans even pointed out another shot where Luthen is talking with Jung, so hopefully for Luthen his spy status is in fact real, otherwise he might be in for a little bit of a pickle. And so with this information, with Jung now being part of the prison operation on Ord Mantell, he might help Andor escape, or bring Cassian to Luthen, but in either case, Jung is a spy. Share your thoughts in the comments down below guys of everything we spoke about in today's video. If you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and if you want access to videos not found here on YouTube, while also getting access to our Discord server, then click the link down there in the description. But until the next one my dear friends, may the Force be with you always.